Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. And before we start, I am all about disrupting, but you are queen of disruptors. You're like the queen of the queen. The reason I called my newest book Disrupt Your Brand, which, by the way, I acknowledged you in, Disrupt Your Brand, is not just about branding yourself online, but I started the book with something that everyone needs to get past, and that is resistance. But you are the biggest disruptor I know. I want to introduce you because I'm so proud to know you.
Oh.
And, it's funny how we met. We met on Instagram, and I've interviewed Katie Jakes. I've interviewed, Mike Ditka. I've interviewed a lot of amazing people, and people ask me how I've done it, and I've done well asking. I wrote the book, The Power of Asking. But then I decided, you know what, I want to empower and inspire people, especially in the world right now, with what's going on in the world, with, encouraging and inspiring people to disrupt, because we do not know what tomorrow is going to bring.
I know.
Seriously. And, I want to introduce you first. Real Talk Kim, who's, I consider her a friend, and her husband, Mark, are just amazing. We've built a relationship, believe it or not, on Instagram for over a year now. We've been trying to do this interview since last September, but you know what? Everything is in divine order. I so believe that. And Real Talk Kim, she's a wife, mother, pastor, entrepreneur, best-selling author, amazing worshiper after God. Pastor Kim and her husband, Mark, are the senior pastors at Limited Church in Fayetteville, Georgia. Featured on Dr. Oz show, Preachers of Atlanta, BET, ABC Nightline. Boy, you got some accolades. I thought I had somebody.
Oh.
The Word Network, CNN, and numerous radio shows. And I have to share something. I'll be really transparent with you. Today, a lot of people don't know this. You have really inspired me. I shared with you that I lost 7 people in 2 years, and I had a very bad car accident a year and a half ago, but in the midst of it all, I still got out there. And honestly, between you and Katie Jakes, especially yourself, being a female, and, you hit on things that I think us as women have issues with. You really took me out of a slump. I know I took myself out, but God used you as a tool to take me out of that slump.
Come on.
If that makes sense. But I want to talk about today, and I was not planning on this, is I want you to tell me, you left JCPenney's. You were working at JCPenney's in the cosmetic department. How many years ago was that?
Let's see, 6 years ago.
And a lot has happened to you in 6 years.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you, what broke, I talk about this in my book. Like I said, I was going to do the book on branding and social media and talk about where I started and all this. And the first half of the book is, believe it or not, all about resistance, asking, and gratitude, and how to implement that on social media. And you have done that on social media and also in your life. Is what broke inside of you to get over resistance? Because if you cannot get past this one thing, nothing's going to work. And what I'm seeing in the world is there is a huge shaking in this world right now of people who did not have a plan B, or have said to themselves they're going to wait till next week, next month, next year, do it the right time. The right time never, ever comes. I have learned that. My mentor told me it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be right. Just get it going. And the thing is, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, with what is going on in the world, people have been put in a very uncomfortable position to get past their resistance.
Yeah. I think that with me, I didn't even think about it. Like, it's so crazy because, like, I think whenever I just came out of it's almost like when I came out of the gates, I just came out full blown. Like, I think I was my whole life always kind of put in, I was in special ed my whole life. I was just always kind of like the black sheep sort of the family, the rebellious one. And I think when I found myself going through that divorce in 2006 and losing everything and having to move back in with my mom, it was almost like God just allowed me to hit rock bottom. And I found out who the rock was at the bottom, which is Jesus. And man, I don't even think about it. When I tell you I am the queen of resistance, but I don't even realize I'm resistant. Like I am so full blown just doing what God's told me to do. I'm just not scared. I'm just not scared. I get out there and I just do it. And if people support me, they support me. If they don't, they don't. I don't even pay attention to it. I think I'm just so focused on doing what God's called me to do that, boom, here I am. And even right now,
go ahead.
Even right now with this virus going on, it's like it's finally even kind of hit me a little bit, because I pastor a church and having to pay attention to the people coming in the sanctuary, and you can't do that. You can't, I finally, we're in a couple of weeks of it. Now it's finally hit me. Man, this is weird. When you go to the grocery store and ain't nobody outside. But I think that's just the way I am. I just jump in, I just do it, and I don't even look at people's eyes. I just jump.
You helped me get past, I shared with you what I did. I got online in 2006 and blew it up. And recently I was interviewed by Entrepreneur Magazine, and I haven't, there was something holding me back from putting it out there, and you inspired me. I mean, the interview just happened, but, because I shared with you a guy that stalked me online, did not like what I was saying because he was agnostic and I was a Christian, and the list goes on and on. I'm sure you've had your haters. Please tell me, especially right now with what's going on in the virus, and, it recently hit me because the past couple of days I've been in lockdown mode where we're at, and everything is shut down. Restaurants, everything is closed. Nobody's on the street. It's like, I feel like I'm living in a movie.
Came and we got left.
I feel like we are living in a movie. And what I feel that has happened is that this has shaken our world up to people, and I hope that people who are listening to this, and they might not like what we say, but it's gotten them out of their comfort zone, made them very uncomfortable to think about what their plan B is. And even the U.S., how we can be more prepared for something like this, because I'm sitting here I feel like I'm watching a movie. What are your thoughts on, that? Because we're creating disruptors. We're creating people that had resistance or had distractions in their life. And God kind of it wasn't God's doing, but this virus dropped a bomb on people to where, they have to look in the mirror. Even I've had to look in the mirror.
Yeah. Yeah, I think at this point in the game, of life, we're having to really depend on Jesus. I mean, it's almost like the enemy never does anything small. Like, the enemy's such a punk. The devil's just such a punk. I think a great revival is about to hit our nation, and God will do whatever He's got to do to get us there. But the enemy also is there playing a part with. He can't take us out, so he's trying to wear us out mentally, physically. He's trying to make us fearful. And I think you just got to do what I do, man. I am so focused at this point. I got a dad with dementia right now. I've got a lot going on in my personal life that's just I never saw coming, and trying to dictate that. And then all of a sudden, this pastor in a church. Then I got this coronavirus, a travel ministry. I travel 51 weeks out of the year, and all of a sudden everything's shut down. All my travel's shut down. And so I just look at it. I got a new book coming out in 2 weeks, and I just finally got my head wrapped around it of God, you knew before we were ever even a thought in our mother's womb that today was going to be here. And you knew that March 2020, the world was going to be disrupted. You knew that we were going to have the capability to navigate through this thing. So, Father, I'm going to rest in you. I'm going to stay focused. I'm going to use the platforms that you've given me. I'm going to be a voice. I'm going to be a place for people to land. I'm going to be a light for you. And so during this time, I just realized that when I start feeling a little shaky, when I start feeling a little concerned, when I start feeling a little out of my comfort zone, not knowing how to navigate, I just trust in Jesus, girl. I just flip over. I always say this: if you're going to fall on your back, because at least you can get up that way. And so I think that's what I'm doing in this season, is I'm just trying to be that place where people can look and navigate and say, I'm going to follow her because she's following Jesus. Because that's really the only thing we can do. We're either going to be mad, we're either going to be scared, and because it is like the rapture took place and we all got left behind, or
it is.
We're going to, or we're going to fall on our back and know that the world's watching us, and we have to navigate through this thing properly, or else, I mean, God's got to get the glory through this. I mean, last night, starting at 6 o'clock, yesterday morning, I'm on at 7 a.m. doing prayer call. This morning, I slept right through it, but I'll be back on tonight at 6 on all my platforms. I'll start out on the Limitless page. Then I go, so all night long until 10 o'clock, I will be live on all my platforms, some platforms. And so I think that's what we have to do. We got to stay focused. And if we're scared, we can't even pretend we're scared. We got to still shake it for Jesus.
Oh, exactly. And you're doing that online. In fact, I'm going to send you a copy of the book, Disrupt Your Brand, but I acknowledged you in the acknowledgments because you're like one of the number one disruptors, influencers on the internet, and you have gotten so much attention. What's funny is I show people how, like pizza boxes or even cosmetics, they put, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and so many people are just incubating themselves on Facebook. And you have taken over Instagram, YouTube. I mean, you're everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
You're disrupting it. But you know what? It's like with myself, people have asked, how have I interviewed people? And I said, when I asked, when we first met on Instagram, a friend request is an ask. If you don't ask, you don't get. Asking is a form of gratitude. God teaches us gratitude. If you don't ask, you're not allowing somebody to give back to you. So especially right now during this time, we have to, one, ask, and two, ask for help, ask for whatever, which is also, I believe, humbling our nation. But I want you to touch on, you have really disrupted it on the internet, how you started online. I mean, I tell people that Instagram and YouTube, I mean, that's how I got discovered back in 2006 was video. But I want you to encourage people and inspire people how your story on like Instagram and the different platforms has touched millions of lives and has gotten you speaking and, arrangements and everything, because I don't think people realize that, social media, the internet is a ground to be a disruptor and to change people's lives. People are afraid of it, but it's a tool that is being used to impact lives. And I'm sure you agree.
Don't you think that the reason people don't ask is because they're scared of rejection?
They are. I mean,
because when you say that seems so simple, but I think it's just because people are afraid. We've taken rejection as a form of there's areas on the inside of us that are afraid of rejection, so we don't even ask people, will you do a podcast with me?
I'll give you an example. This is perfect. I mean, I wrote the book, The Power of Asking, and I've thought about this long and hard. It starts in the schoolroom. People don't know this. You said you were, special ed. I was in remedial English, okay, and remedial math. All right, hello, now I'm an author. I was told by a Spanish teacher, because I made a D in Spanish because I couldn't pick it up for whatever reason, they stuck me in remedial English. And so I have a very similar story to yours. And it's like what you were just saying, people, they don't ask because they're afraid, but like I said, it starts in the classroom. I think when I remember I would raise my hand, we would have these time math tests. I was terrible at math. and they would only call on these 3 dates. Well, I finally got to the point is, why even ask? Why raise my hand? I'm not going to be called on. It starts at a very young age. It starts, I believe, in the home, how we're domesticated. Now, as children, and what our parents told us, whether it's asking is rude, sit there, look pretty. I was raised in an environment that children were to be seen, not heard. My father had an old school biblical thought from Southern Baptists that, women, be submissive to their husbands, meaning you don't talk if you're a female in my house. I mean, that's how my dad was. He was a good man. He changed throughout the years. And in 2005, I learned I had a voice. But one of the things, and tell me what your feelings are on this, the church teaches us to ask God for things. But when he brings people into our lives, we reject them, or we say no, or we make an excuse, or we resist, or, we're distracted by something. He sent the plane, the helicopter, the boat, and he's like, I sent you all this stuff, but you didn't listen to me. So what are your thoughts on that? Because I want to go around to churches and discuss this, because I was raised 1 Southern Baptist, 2 Methodists, and then, of course, I'm non-denominational now, and I see all these people rejecting things from asking, but yet we go to church and we're asking God for things.
Yeah. I just think that the one thing that I've discovered is I suffer that too. I think that that's just a form of, if you don't ask, then you won't hear rejection. And it's just a place where I think healing still needs to take place in us. We still need to evaluate within ourselves every day. I mean, I do it still to this day. God, if there's anything in me that is keeping me from flowing in everything you've called me to do, whether it's rejection, or I preach a sermon talking about 3 different walls that we build of protection. One's a porous wall, and one's a rigid wall, and then there's a healthy wall. And in these 3 walls is the rigid and the porous keep you from walking into fulfillment of God, but that's the place most people live in, because we're afraid of, something that happened to us when we were a child, or, the special ed carrying on into our personal lives now, never healing from it. So we learned how to overcompensate so nobody would know those areas of deficiencies in us. And so I think that if we just get to a place where we start taking ourselves out of the equation, looking in and saying, what can it hurt anyway? What can it hurt if someone tells me no? What's it going to hurt if we don't learn to jump all the way in, carefree, and realize that there are people in this world that go to the bathroom like you, they wake up with bedhead like you, they wake up with bad breath like you. People can't steal your birthday, and we get out of that fear of what people are going to say about us. If we don't do that, we will always stay in one of those barriers for our life, and we'll never be all that God's created us to be. So I think that's what it is. I think it's just getting out and realizing, God, I'm just going to fly, and you're going to protect me.
How did you, this is, how did you, you're living a dream that I have. I want to do workshops, honestly, around the power of asking, because I think it's a huge problem in the world, especially with women. And when I was at the, women's conference, Oasis Women's Conference, you really shook my world with several things you said, but I want to, no offense to men listening right now, but I really want to help women ask for what they want, whether it's a promotion, whether it's to be treated with respect, whatever it is. How did you get out there speaking 51 weeks out of the year?
Yeah.
You're doing what I want to do. I mean, that's my dream, is to speak at churches and also women's conferences and just anything related to empower women in business or personal.
Yeah. I just started on social media. Social media is a force that God has given us. Man, when I tell you, you got Facebook Live, you can be Oprah in your own little house. You've got, it's called consistency. It's called doing lives when nobody's on it and you're thinking nobody's watching. And again, you're caring what people thinking about you, so you get off and you don't get back on because you think nobody's watching you, and it makes you look crazy because you're doing something without people supporting you, or it's doing it regardless of people supporting you or not. It's using every tool God's given you, and that's your Facebook lives, your Instagram lives, your Periscope lives, it's doing them when you don't feel like it. It's doing them when you got to get up and fix your hair and your makeup when you don't feel like it. And it's that consistency tool. And that's what I did, man. I just used my platforms that God's given me. And
now tell me a little bit about the new book you have coming out, because I would love to hear about it, and if anyone can pre-order it or buy it, or where they would buy it in a couple of weeks.
It is called Shut Hell Up, and it basically is talking about your mind, the same thing that you and I are talking about today. It's talking about your mind. It's talking about your mind stopping you from being the best you. It's your mind telling you that you've been divorced 3 times and nobody will ever love you, and you're going to end up single for the rest of your life. So you get bitter instead of better, and you basically put yourself in that isolation of never being married again. It's basically saying, you know, my credit's 210 and I can't even buy cheese with my credit because I've made some bad decisions in my life, so I might as well just be mad about it and never even try. And it's basically your mind having dictating over what God is saying about you, not really believing in miracles. So you just go on and make your own path for negativity in your life. It's basically just saying, shut hell up. Shut anything up in your life and in your mind, because the mind will trap you. The mind will stop you from walking in the greatness that God has over your life. The mind will have a whole conspiracy theory about what's going on right now with the coronavirus, saying, oh, my God, we're going to be here forever. We're going to be locked in our houses forever. We're never going to get back up to the way life is supposed to be. And you just all of a sudden finding yourself in your bed depressed instead of getting up and doing your lives and keeping the consistency going on every day, knowing this shall end, this too shall pass. So that's what this book's about, man. Be it mind over matter. It's basically saying, shoot, it might look like this today, but I'm gonna have me a whole Oprah studio in this house until it boils over. You know, I'm gonna end up being the best wife on the planet one day. I might have messed up 3 times, but the 4th time's a charm. It's, you know, it's basically, I might have been infertile 12 times and not had a baby, but that 13th time I'm gonna have a baby. You know, it's basically just learning how to have faith when fear is trying to take over your life.
And fear is a lie. I mean,
fear's a lie.
Definitely.
Fear is false evidence appearing real.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is even I have problem with resistance. I mean, I can self-sabotage still, and I'm being transparent like there's no tomorrow. I mean, I have to talk to that, you know, voice in my head.
Of course, we all do.
And what's funny is with resistance, you know, it's a form of a distraction. Self-sabotage from yourself or from your spouse. You have those people that say, oh, you know, that's not going to work. You know, you've tried that before, or you're never going to be a best-selling author. I had a husband tell me that. He saw me on TV. He goes, why didn't you tell me you were on TV? And I said, because you told me I wouldn't be a best-selling author.
Come on.
So, I mean, you understand. Tell me how people can get a hold of you, how everyone can buy your book and get a hold of you on social media.
You can go to realtalkkim.com, realtalkkim.com, and everything about me is right there.
And now tell me what is going on with the church right now. I know that, are you still running regular services, or are they online?
No. Well, I did. I had services up until this week, and now we're complying to what what President Trump is saying. I will be doing everything online for at least the next 2 weeks, I'm sure.
Wow. Well, you know, I love you very much. And when this passes, I told you and Mark, I've been wanting to come to your church forever. In fact, I even was thinking maybe I should move to Georgia. Just.
Oh, I think that's a great idea.
No, seriously, because, all my family's passed away. I have a son in the Marines, and he's stationed somewhere. I can't say, but, it's like, why not? You have to live the world, but why not? So thank you so much. I love you dearly. Any last words you want to say?
No, ma'am. I'm doing great. Thanks for letting me on with you. And everybody stay strong, stay focused, and always remember, fear is not of God. Fear is not of God. Press in. If you feel an unction in your spirit to do something, go head on with it. Jump, and don't look to the side for validation. Stop looking for validation from people that ain't even valid, and jump and just do it. Be obedient, because 1 ounce of obedience will do more for you than all the prayer in the world.
Amen. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.